Well, you asked for it and you're going to get it. We are going to do a deep dive in DocuSign, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing all kinds of things in DocuSign. But today, we're going to start out with what you do for your first buy-side transaction in Command, and we're going to go through the whole workflow, Command to DocuSign and back into Command again. So let's get started. Do you need that extra edge? Gain that leverage you need with my top-tier tech solutions today. We do lead gen, transaction management, client retention, and database management. Fill out this little form here below, and you can get started today for a free consultation by visiting brenbrewer.kw.com/technology services, or you can scan the QR code on your screen as well. I'm looking forward to partnering with you. So congratulations. If you're watching this video, that means you have a buyer and you need to write an offer on a contract on a house. Before we get started, there's a couple things we need to do. Number one, you need to have Command open in a tab, like I do. Number two, there's an article here on answers.kw.com. This is what we're going to be going through. So you need to follow this article. I'll link it in the description so you can just click on it. Number three, you need to have DocuSign open as well and logged in. And number four, you need to have your MLS open to the property that you are going to be writing the offer on. This is important because we're going to need some things out of the MLS that we don't have in our Command or in our DocuSign, and that is going to be the attachments. Depending on which MLS you're in, those are going to be in different places, but here we have a whole tab under our property called Attachments. You can see here we have a notice to purchaser of special taxing or assessment district, and then we also have a seller's disclosure. We need to go ahead and get those downloaded to our computer. So let me go ahead and pull that up. I'm going to click download. All right, so you can see we have the seller's disclosure, we have our listing. Another thing we're going to want to do before we get started is print a copy of this MLS. So we're going to go ahead and click print. We're going to click page in full, and we're going to click preview, and this is what that's going to look like. And I'm going to go ahead and click print. I'm going to save this as a PDF. Put it in there. We're going to call it the MLS. And now I've saved the MLS sheet as well. It's going to be different depending on your MLS, how that works. We are also going to need the tax record. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the tax tab, and I'm going to print this as well. I'm only going to have tax set up. If you're using Matrix, your steps are going to be the same. Let me preview this, and it is the tax record. Go ahead and click print, save as, save tax. All right, so now I have my MLS information, I have my tax record, and I have all the attachments from the actual listing. So now I can go into Command, and I want to make sure before I get started that I click on my name and I click on settings, and I make sure that my DocuSign shows connected here. If it does not show connected, then you will need to create your account from here inside of Command and log in that way. The next thing you need to do before we even start creating on the steps from the answers article, we need to go over to DocuSign and make sure you're logged in. And once you're logged in, I want you to click on your initials or your picture in the top right. Click on Preferences and then click on Integrations. And you need to make sure that you have your integrations for your providers. If you are in Texas, you will need these two providers. And your market center may provide another set of forms, but these two providers are for Texas. At minimum, you're going to need this one. And you would do that by clicking Add Provider. You click on the provider that you want to add, and then you enter the information and click Validate. I have a whole video for that, so if you want to go back and look at my DocuSign playlist, you'll be able to see that as well. Once you have your providers in there and your DocuSign is connected in Command and you've got all of your attachments from MLS, we are ready to get started on our steps. And step one is to create or find your contact within Command. I'm going to go back over to Command, click on Contacts, and click on Add Contact. The person I'm going to add is just going to be, I'm going to add my husband because I'm already in here. So now you can see that I have added my contact. That was step number 1. Your contact has to be in here. If you're on a team or you are in your office's PC coaching program and you're using the coaching account that's in Command, at this point, you will have to click these 3 dots and click change account. You will have a second option right here that you can select that is your team name or the coaching account name. You will select that and you will click change account. Once you do that, you're ready to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be create and prepare your opportunity for compliance. So now we're going to go back into Command and I am going to click on opportunities. I will click on create opportunity and then you will enter all the information that you can about this transaction. Everything with a red asterisk is going to be required for you to fill it in. And if you're on a team or you're in the coaching account, you'll need to be able to select that here. It should auto-populate for you, but if it doesn't, make sure you put it in. The opportunity type, this is very important. You cannot change this. So you want to make sure that you get it right the first time. So today we're working on the buy side transaction and our client we just put in. So I'm going to search. Our client comes up, the co-buyer, I'm going to put myself in there, and then the opportunity name. It's very important that you name this so you can find it later, but also if you know the property address, include that in the opportunity name as well. We don't know what this buyer is going to buy yet because we're just in the initial making an offer stage. If you want any custom tags, you can put those there. Closing date, the estimated closing date, their time frame, their budget, commission rate, whatever you want to put there that's you've negotiated with your clients. And we are going to put that they are active and searching right now. And then I'm going to click create. All right, so now you see my opportunity has been created. So I'm going to swing back over to my workflow here. That is create and prepare your opportunity for compliance. So we just did step number 2. Step number 3 is to select a compliance checklist for your opportunity. So that means we're going to head over to the documents section of our opportunity. And on the left-hand side, it says pick checklist type. We're going to go ahead and do that. And this is going to be residential. You may have a ton of other types in here, but you pick which type you're using. And that's going to generate the checklist items and folders that you will need to turn in. So you can see now that I picked a checklist, I have 3 folders of placeholders of documents that I need to turn in. So my under contract is where I need to go on a buyer. And you can see here are all of my required documents. So I know that I'm going to need a CMA, I'm going to need an earnest money receipt, I'm going to need the general info, the IABS, our MLS printout, 1 to 4 family contract, and our buyer rep agreement, tax record, wire fraud, and those are the things that are required. So at minimum, I'm going to need to do those. That is step number 3. Step number 4 is to start a transaction. And I am flipping back and forth between answers and command so that I can go back and forth and see what our next step is. So our next step is to start a transaction. Now, if you haven't connected your DocuSign and settings, you will not have this option. And if you have DocuSign and .loop connected, it's going to ask you which one you want to use. If you don't have them connected, it's just going to ask, it's going to go to DocuSign. Now, at this point, you may have a step where it asks you who is this buyer agent, who is buyer agent 1, buyer agent 2. You are the only agent on this for DocuSign. So you just put yourself, and then you should get to what looks like something like this. These are going to be my pre-populated documents. It popped me into DocuSign. If you have a computer with pop-ups blocked or turned off, you may not auto pop up into DocuSign, but if you go and log in, you'll be able to find that room. If I go back to Command, I'm going to switch back over to Command for a second. You can see everything here that has a DS next to it should have come into my DocuSign room. So let me go back over here to my DocuSign room, and sure enough, all of the stuff that I need to turn in has come into my DocuSign room. Now, I need to add other documents that I need to get done that are from the MLS attachments. So to do that, I want to make sure I'm in my Documents tab. I want to click the Add button. I want to click Computer, and I want to go to that folder where I just pulled all those documents from MLS. Once I'm done that, I'm going to click Open. and it's going to put these documents into my DocuSign room in alphabetical order. So you can see here the DocuSign forms that came in are blue, and the ones that I just uploaded are PDF and they are red. Now before we get started filling out anything, I want you to go to your Details tab. It's up here in the top left. We're going to go to Details. We are going to click Edit, and we are going to fill in all of the information about the property and the buyers. So I am going to pull over my matrix and make sure that I have the information here. So I'm just going to start popping in the information. And now when we're done, we're going to click save and it says the room has been updated. Why do we want to do this? We want to do this because anything that's in our details tab is going to auto populate to our DocuSign forms here. So if there's blanks that need to be filled out, those are going to auto populate into our DocuSign forms. Now I am on number 5, preparing your documents and forms for compliance. So that's what I want to do, is prepare these forms for compliance. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click on all of these documents and fill them out. There's nothing to fill here, so I'm just going to click save and close. Just need signatures now. Now these PDFs, they cannot be edited. If we need to do anything to them or add signatures to them, we will have to do that in a future step, and I'll show you. We're just going to keep going. I'm going to click on the general info and save and close. So this information I actually have a template for. I'm going to right click and click apply form template, do my IABS in there. I have a template in a previous video in my DocuSign playlist on how to create those templates if you want to use them, but now the information should be there and I do not have to go filling it out. If you want to fill it out, you just type in the blanks and you will fill it out and click save and close. All right, inspector information, let's keep going. Make sure you ask your buyers on this one if they are choosing to hire or not hire and select the appropriate option, and then your clients will sign, save and close. And then your residential buyer tenant representation agreement, which should be done way before this part, before you're doing an offer, but we're doing it all together in one package today. So you can see all of this information auto-filled, and I'm just going to go in and start typing. All right, so that was my buyer rep. Now we're going to do 1 to 4. All right, at this point you can see I have nothing else to fill out in my offer. I'm going to click save and close. Now I'm ready to go on to third-party financing. Just filling out the information that was in the contract and what I received from my client's pre-approval letter. And now that I have that filled out, saving and closing, and I have one final document, my wire fraud. Nothing to fill out here, but I do need to select the buyer boxes and click save and close. We are now done with that step. That was preparing your documents and forms for compliance. We are done with step 5. So step 6 is to create and send your documents for signature. So let me scoot back over to DocuSign here. And now that we are ready to get these signed, we are going to select them all. And you can see there's a checkbox in the top left of each document. If I don't want to get one signed, I will just unselect it and it won't be included. But for this particular instance, we want all of these signed. Now, when you select documents like that, this row of icon appears here and you'll have this pen option. That is the create envelope option. We're going to go ahead and select that button and it's going to pop up this box and ask you, who are you sending this to? And it's actually going to be buyer agent, which would be me, buyer 1 and buyer 2 because I am on the buy side, and then I'm going to click continue. If there are documents in here that you are not signing, you don't have to add yourself to the envelope because you are already part of the DocuSign room that's holding these documents. You don't have to put yourself in here. So if it's just the 1 to 4 and the third party, you do not have to put yourself in here. You'll get a copy of this anyway. So here are your documents that are going to be in your envelope details for signing. I like to put mine in a specific order. So as you can see, I'm just dragging and dropping and moving stuff around. So I like my IABS to be first, wire fraud, general info, buyer rep agreement, and then acknowledgement of the seller's disclosure, which that needs to come after the seller's disclosure. And I think that's it. Now I'm going to go in and put in my people who are in my roles. So the buyer agent is going to be me. Buyer one is going to be Joshua, and I'm going to change the email for training purposes. So now you can see I have my buyer agent, my buyer one, and my buyer two. If you need to add someone, you'll click this add recipient button, put in their email address and their name. If you would like to set a signing order, you can do that too. You would make it 1, 2, or 3, or you could make this all at the same time by taking that off, or you can just put it back as 1, 2, 3. That is completely up to you. I'm going to leave it here, and then below that you can add a message. This is going to be where you say, hey, these are the documents that we talked about. Please sign these as soon as you can. Once you're ready to move on to work on your documents before you send them, we're going to click next. One thing before we move on, I do want to show you that up here where it says add documents, if you were missing one, you can always click this upload and browse from your computer or add from your room. You can also look at these documents here, but I promise you they are going to be blank. This is a thumbnail view. This is not the actual document that you filled out. So trust the process. Even though this is blank, it's still going to be filled out on your next part. So let's go ahead and click next. You can see we got a lot going on. We've got on the left hand side in the very top left, we have a box with a drop down menu, and these are all your signers. So you should have you as the agent, your buyer one, and your buyer two. They will also be different colors so you can see who's signing and who is supposed to be adding things to this document. Below that are different fields, okay? So we have a signature, initial, date, sign, name, email, company, title, text, number, checkbox, drop down, radio, payment, things like that. Notice that if I switch signers, these fields change colors because they are color coordinated. So now if I need a signature, so let me scroll to this document here, and you can see DocuSign put signatures here already, and they are blue and purple for my buyer one and my buyer two. So these look great. I don't have to do anything to this document. Same with wire fraud. You can see it put my signature here for buyer agent, buyer one, and buyer two. And I can just keep scrolling and making sure that all my signatures are in the right place. I'm also going to do a final proofread of my documents while I'm scrolling through everything. And sometimes I don't like the placement where DocuSign puts some of this stuff. I'm a little particular, so I move some of it over. But all of these documents look really good as far as the signatures on them. Where we're going to have to do a lot of work is on the PDFs that we uploaded. So I'm doing a final look at this and everything looks fairly good. I'm just going to scoot this over a little bit. Because like I said, I'm particular about where I want this stuff. And look, I forgot to put my name. So this is a typo I already made. I can make changes here inside of the envelope. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just going to make sure that these signatures are here, and they are. DocuSign did a lot of work for me and put these on here for me. But when we get down to our PDFs is where we are going to have to do all of that work. Again, I am checking to make sure my signatures and dates are where they need to be, and that I have filled out all the information that I need to fill out. All right, so here is our first PDF. It says, Notice to Purchaser of Special Taxing or Assessment District. Pretty sure that this needs to be signed and notarized. So I'm not sure that we can sign this in DocuSign. We'll go ahead and get a signature on it just because. So I'm going to change the top left to my buyer one, and then I'm going to pull over a signature here, and then I'm also going to pull over a date. I need another signature for my buyer two, and oops, I messed up because these are supposed to be purple and for my buyer too. So I actually should have pulled this over. So if that happens, you can actually just select it and press the delete button on your keyboard like I just did. And then you have your signatures and dates. I also like to pull over their full name as well. And look at this, I did it again. Now, a little bit easier if you pull over the wrong person, you can select the field that's wrong, come over to your right side and change it to the other recipient. So now you can see all of my colors match and I have everybody there that's supposed to be there. All right, now we're at our seller disclosure notice. This one usually has initials and signatures on every page, but not this one. This version only has it on the last page. So when we get there, we will go, and this is my buyer too, so I'm going to pull over the signature, I'm going to pull over the date, and then I'm going to switch to my buyer one, pull over the signature, pull over the date, and then I also like to pull over their names here. So let's pull full name and their full name. And then this one as well, I like to pull over initials on this so that they saw my MLS printout and that I have proof with signatures that they saw it, and also the tax record. And that's it. The only document that we forgot to go run before we did this was a CMA. So if you haven't done your CMA, you can go do that and put it in here as well, or you can just do it on its own. But now that I have all of my initials and all of my signatures in here, I am ready for my next step. So let me show you what that is. Create and send your documents for signature, which is what we're doing now. And we are going to go ahead and click send. All right, so now that we created or we sent our documents off for signature, the envelope is going to show up under your envelopes tab in that same room. So we're going to click on it and it's going to say you need to sign it. You can go ahead and sign it in the room. Your clients will get an email saying that they need to sign a document. It's very important for them to click start and to initial everything, and they will get an initial pop-up box that says, you know, how they want to adopt their signature, but it's also very important that they click this finish button. If they don't click finish, it will never move on to the next person in the envelope. So make sure that you're telling your clients they need to click finish. And so because I use the same email address in this whole thing, I'm just going to sign these all really quickly so that we can move on. But you, during this process, will be waiting on your clients to sign. One more time. Your envelope should now show completed. When you click on it, you can see everyone has signed and what time they have signed. You click this X in the top right to get out of your details there. And now we're going to head back over to our Documents tab. We have got a lot going on in here already. The signed documents haven't come in here yet, so while we're waiting on that, we're going to start organizing and making our folders. This is kind of like a step here in between. We're going to organize this room before it gets way too messy. So what I want to do is I want to start making folders, and if you'll go and look back at Command, which I'm going to pop over to real quick, you have 3 folders on a buy-side transaction. The consultation folder doesn't have any documents that are required to be turned in, so we're not going to make a folder for that. But we do have under contract and closed documents that we have to turn in, so we're definitely going to make those 2 folders in DocuSign. So now I'm going to switch back over to DocuSign. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click on Actions and Add Folder. We want to do a number 1 in front of this folder because we want it to show up first, and it's going to be under contract, and then I'm going to click create. I'm going to do the same thing, actions, add folder. I'm going to type the number 2 and put closed and create, and then I'm going to make 2 more folders. Number 1 was under contract, number 2 was closed. The third folder I'm going to create is for our certifications. These need to be kept because those are going to be proof that your buyers or your clients, whoever that may be, buyer or seller, signed the document. So go ahead and create that folder as well. And then one more folder, we are going to call it miscellaneous, and then create. So now you can see I have all of these folders here: under contract, closed, certifications, and miscellaneous. Room docs is going to be your default room folder. All your documents are going to go into that room folder. And you can see I have 12. So let me refresh this and see if my signed documents have come in yet. And yes, they have. So now you can see I have my certification and everything green has been signed. Now, I have some documents that are done. So that would be this buyer acknowledgement is done, the seller's disclosure is done because it's been signed by all parties, and the MLS, the taxes, the general info, the IABS, and the inspector information, and my buyer rep agreement, and my wire fraud agreement. But my 1 to 4 and my third party financing still need to be signed by the seller. We need to send this to the listing agent. Listing agent needs to present the offer to the seller. And if it gets accepted, then we need to wait on a signed copy of that from the listing agent. So these are not documents we can turn in yet. They're not complete. But these other ones that I just checked off are. So now that I have the one selected that I want to move, I'm going to click this move button here in the top of my DocuSign. It's going to ask you to select a destination. We're going to click in that box, click folder in current room, and then we're going to move it to under contract and click move. The next document we'll move is the certification. We're going to select it, we're going to click move, and we're going to move it to a folder in a current room, and we are going to move that to certifications and click move. So every time you do an envelope, and you can do as many envelopes as you want, you will get a certification. So you should end up with tons of documents in here for certifications. Now, this notice to a purchaser, I don't think it was signed by the seller. Let's look. Oh, it is signed by the seller, but it is not notarized, so we may have to get that notarized. I'm going to go ahead and click it, move it. I'm going to move it to the folder and move it to my under contract folders. Click move. If it does need to be notarized, you can always have that done at closing, so don't worry. Now the rest of these are the ones that I added. And then my 1 to 4 and my third party need to be signed by the seller. So I have different actions I'm going to be taking. So the PDFs that I added, I no longer need those because I have a signed copy here in my under contract. These are not signed. So I'm going to move those. I don't want to delete them, never want to delete anything, but I'm going to move them into my miscellaneous folder and click move. That way I can minimize it and I don't need it. So now the only thing left here is my 1 to 4 and my third party that have been signed. So at this point, I would select it, these documents, and I'm going to click download. And I'm going to download these to my computer, and I'm going to say offer package and save. Then I'm going to take that and unzip it because it does zip, so you have to unzip it, whether that is extracting it or double clicking it on a Mac, extracting it on a PC. And then I'm going to go email that over to the listing agent, and I'm going to call her and I'm going to say, hey, I got an offer for you on your listing. Then if the seller accepts and we go back and forth, I will come back in here and change anything I need to change, resend it for signatures again, and then wait for all the signatures to come back before I put that in command. But I do have some things that I can put in command, which is going to take us to our next step, which would be to upload your signed documents to your opportunity. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take these documents that are here in our under contract folder and upload those to our opportunity. So I'm going to go back over to command. I'm going to make sure that I refresh it because command does not know everything that we've been doing over in DocuSign. So we have to refresh. We'll make sure we're in our under contract folder. And you can see here on the right hand side, we want to attach files from DocuSign, and we want to choose the folder that we're working in. So we want to match our under contract folder to our under contract DocuSign room folder. So we have our under contract command, under contract DocuSign. And now we didn't have that CMA. I never did that. We don't have the earnest money receipt yet. We're not there. We do have general information, so let's select in the box and look for our general information, which is here. So we're just basically telling command that this document that's required is this document in our DocuSign room, and command is going to go over there and get it and put it here for us. And you can see if I click on it, it pulls up the document and it is my general information. And it is the signed one. Love it. And then we're going to do the same thing for the information about brokerage services. I have to go find that. And we're just going to keep on going on everything. So the 1 to 4 I don't have, but I do have my buyer rep agreement, my tax record I have, and wire fraud I have. So everything else was conditional. So we have it here. And then we have our notice for mud. All right, so everything here that I've gotten signed and was able to turn in that has signatures from all parties is here. So you can see I'm just waiting on the listing agent to get back to me on the offer because I sent that over. And once that is done, I will add that here as well. And then that will bring us to our next step, which is submitting your signed documents to your market center. Once you have added documents, this button here will turn from gray to greenish turquoise, and you'll be able to click it. Submit to market center. And it says, are you sure you want to submit this for review? Avoid delay in approval by ensuring all attached documents are accurate. Contact your MC if you have any questions. You will click Submit, and that is going to tell the compliance department that you have documents that need to be checked. And that is it. Submitting your signed documents to the Market Center was your very last step. And now you are done with your buyer side DocuSign workflow. From Command to DocuSign and back again. So we did a lot today. We went through all of these steps. We created our contact. We prepared our opportunity for compliance. We selected a compliance checklist for the opportunity. We started the transaction. We prepared the documents and forms for compliance. We created and sent the documents for signature. We uploaded the signed documents to the opportunity, and we submitted our signed documents to our market center. Let me know in the comments below if you're using DocuSign, if you love this workflow, and if you have any questions, I'll be sure and answer them, and I'll see you next week.